I stumbled upon Humans of New York in college. I was in third year college. I remember seeing the photographs and just reading. I don't remember which was the first story I read, but I read 4 hours worth of content in college, and I could not read other things, right? Like, I mean, I'm a reader, but like my textbooks and things, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
difficult, right, in college. And I remember feeling something, like I felt like, oh my god, how, like I felt like I was there, like I was having this chat with this person. So off a impulse, I typed Humans of Bombay on Facebook in the search tab, and nothing came up. So the page was available,
Yeah.
and I just blocked it. And I had no intention of doing anything with it ever. I just blocked it. And I came back home. I was 21. And I came back from college having no idea what's next. And everybody else was extending their vacation. It's a vacation if you're in the UK. It's like one more year of masters, one more, like don't want to come back home. My other friends were getting jobs, and I just decided I want to come back home and just figure out, right, like what is it that I want to do. um, I'm an industrial economics major, so they were very like I could like work at a bank or something along those lines, and it bored the shit out of me. So I was just no offense to anybody who's in any of these professions, I have a huge respect for
No,
you
no,
guys, but
I
just
totally
for me,
relate.
yeah. So I took a sabbatical, and that was very. I'd love to poetically describe it as path breaking, but it was a mess to deal with because I come from like a family where education, there's a lot of importance placed on it since day one. You have to be well educated, you have to get a job, you have to be independent. These virtues are great, but I was coming back with an industrial economics degree and being like, I don't want to work immediately, or I just want to. It was to chill, but it was not chilling. I was kind of figuring out.
To chill is oftentimes the toughest thing to do if you're not a person who. Were you a chill person in
No,
general?
I'm a very wired human being.
Exactly.
Like I always need to know what I'm doing or where I have to go or what it is next. But I was just like, I need to take this step back. And in hindsight, that's the best decision I made, because I think that had I gotten X job, I would have probably stuck with it. But I read a lot. I still read a lot. I've always read a lot. I wrote for myself. And I decided that I want to start a magazine. I don't know if you've read Thought Catalog ever.
No, I haven't.
It's this digital magazine, and they have contributors from across the
Okay.
world. And their writing is poetry, and I love that. I fell in love with their style, the beat of what they stood for, and I said, okay, I'm going to start an e-magazine, and Humans of Bombay will be a column in that magazine, like one tiny thing. But it's the first thing I worked on, and I went out to shoot on Marine Drive, and literally my brief to people, like, think about it, like you're walking in Bombay and stopping people being like, talk to me, they'll just think you're crazy. They're just like, dude, I don't have time for this shit.
Everybody has like things to do, places to be.
Yeah, like no. But I was like, I was 21, so I was actually not very incorrect when I was telling people it's like a college project, like help me out, talk to me. And then like the 9th or 10th woman spoke to me, and she spoke to me for an hour on Marine Drive about how she'd recently been widowed and she had to go back to working. And I wrote about this recently, where at the end of that conversation, she said, I feel lighter. It's been tough. And I don't know what it was about that feeling, but I wanted to chase it. I wanted to chase making somebody feel heard. And that's how it began. And I started speaking to a few more people. And on 28th of Jan, 2014, I just started a Facebook page called Humans of Bombay.
You know, what you just said about the fact that people just want to be heard.
Yeah.
I feel that's one of the things we often don't realize about the world around us, is that we assume everybody wants to engage.
Yeah.
Where, someone's put up something someone's dropped you a message, said something to you, you think they're expecting a response,
Yeah.
but all they want is the fact that are you even listening
Are
to
you
them?
listening to me?
And that's been like one of the biggest realizations for me over the last few years is people just want to tell or talk about what they're going through, what they've been through, or worries about where they're kind of going. And I feel that when you said that when someone felt lighter because they just felt heard, I feel that was actually the true essence of what we all set out to do in social media. Is to just kind of put out there, and at some point, obviously, things have become many other.
It's lopsided.
Yeah, it's now become like I'm saying something which I think you want to hear oftentimes versus what it started off as. And I feel still, I believe there is still a large chunk of people who genuinely do want to kind of say out loud what they
Yeah.
really want to say.
Yeah.
From the time you started in 2014 to now, how have you, how do you believe you've changed as a human being? You're part of the humans of Bombay, so in essence as well as in building out the organization, how have you seen yourself evolve?
We grew together. I was 21 when I started Humans of Bombay. So the formative period in one's adult life, where you're figuring out who you are, working jobs, kind of understanding yourself, all happens simultaneously with the company, and it's just been like it's impossible to encapsulate these years. But like I said this recently that the one thing I've done for 9 years consistently is show up. And that's in my 20s when, like you do like moving around and you do like building experience, which is not a bad thing. It's everybody's decision. But this is the only job I've ever had. I've never worked anywhere else a day in my life. I've never done anything else. It is my identity. I'm very often called that Humans of Bombay girl. And it's true. It's so deeply ingrained in who I am and what I do and how I operate that it's very difficult to even separate the two. Now, that can be a huge advantage, but it can also be a huge disadvantage because sometimes when I say things as me, not as the founder of my company, it's not okay. And I think I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about myself, about how to maneuver emotions, about how to maneuver a business, about how to say things a little bit more correctly, even though I usually don't have a filter, but you learn.
And it's interesting that because when you start off as being a founder, this is the first thing that you do, right? Like you said, this was the first job. This was literally it. You also at some point, it's tougher to, like you said, separate you from the
Yeah.
business,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things which happens over time. And so if you had to turn back to yourself at 21 and say, these are a few things which I'd kind of tell you, maybe as advice, maybe as pointers, what would those be?
Yeah. Exercise restraint. Um, I feel like it's one quality that I've been honing, just restraint. Like, you don't have to react. You don't have to. I mean, having a platform like Humans of Bombay comes with a huge amount of public, just the eye, right? Like, you are scrutinized for certain things. And in the past, when things were written negatively, I would react. And it was so stupid. Like, I was like, why are you reacting? Like, don't react to that.
Yeah.
Just let it be. And disconnect a little bit emotionally. I think that I've now consciously made an effort to not take things so personally on when it comes to the business. It was tough, but there's no other way to be. You can't be crazy, like take it personally if somebody says something. It's just what it is. And I would just say that, like, keep going or keep at it because the first 2 or 3 years were actually not the easiest because it had never been done before. And to my parents, it was like, you're going out on the street and talking to people. That's what you do. And I was like, yeah, that's what I do.
You know, what you said about reacting to people, and I've battled with this. And when you're saying this, I was smiling internally because the tendency is that you want to either correct what someone's saying this is not what it is, and you're getting this wrong, or to kind of sometimes lash out. And at some point in time, I think maybe the last like 4 or 5 years, so I read something in Stoicism which really resonated. Say that the best way to kind of get back is to not be like that. It's just gonna let it be. Sometimes you don't have to engage in every argument. You don't have to be like that, and just by showing the essence of what you're creating, you kind of proving anything thrown at you wrong, or you don't actually have to prove it wrong. Just
But I want to add to this that all these things that you're saying or what I said, they sound great when you're saying it. But the one thing that has helped me practice it and embody it is meditation. I'm a deeply spiritual person. I wish somebody had introduced me to spirituality at 21. I wish. But I just feel like it is such an important message to give. I don't know what your audience space is, but if it is the youth predominantly, just take my word for it. Meditate, align, find spirituality. So a lot of people associate spirituality with
religion, yeah.
religion or like religious scripts, or I have to go sit in a temple. That is absolutely not the case. You can find spirituality at home. I have found it at home. I meditate every day, and it has changed my life. So all of these things that I'm able to now incorporate in my life to be a better human, to be a better founder, is because I'm able to go inwards. And that journey inwards is the only way to go right now, especially right now. There's so much happening and there's so much to deal with, to compare with, to seek validation from. The only way to go is inwards. So I think that that's something that I definitely think is important.
For more insights like this, make sure you check out the full episode.